Welcome to the Everyday Entrepreneur Show. My name is Cameron Ure, a real estate agent, investor, and entrepreneur. This podcast is for the everyday person all the way to the CEO wanting to build, grow, or scale their business to the next level. Our goal is to educate, network, and motivate so all of us can become everyday entrepreneurs. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Everyday Entrepreneur. I have Taya, the founder of Ochre and Elm. She has multiple businesses and she's absolutely crushing it in life in general. Taya, thank you so much for being on the show. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
I am fantastic. I am so pumped for this episode because there's so many things I want to talk about with you, the success you've had, all the cool stuff you're doing. Give yourself a little bit of an introduction. Tell us where you are right now, what you're doing, what your company's about.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Taya. I'm 19. I started Ochre and Elm, which is a jewelry business, in high school when I was 15. Graduated high school early to run it. I'm now 4 years into it. I also started doing permanent jewelry this year, so 2 companies running all at the same time, and it's just been super fun.
So what you're telling me is you're not super busy. Like, you don't have a whole time going on.
No, yeah, I also forgot to mention I am a full-time student too, so there's a lot on my plate, but it's all fun.
Look at you go. So what are you currently studying in school then? And is it correlating with this, or is it just to go to school? What are your thoughts there?
You might catch by surprise, but I'm studying business.
Hey-o,
nice.
nice.
I haven't declared a major yet, but I'm up at the business school at the University of Utah, so leaning towards marketing and entrepreneurship, but I don't know yet.
That would make
sense. I love
sense.
it also.
Hey,
Yep,
good
it
for
would.
you. There's
Thank
lots
you.
to figure out. And so you've been doing your business for 4 years and you've seen some incredible success. One of my first questions is, you have a massive brand. I mean, you have 60 something thousand followers across your platform so far. Is that right?
Yeah, between TikTok and Instagram.
That is amazing. So that's one of my first questions for you, because a lot of people know that building a brand in today's day and age is massive. That's how you started your company. You started on Instagram and then have expanded to your own website and such from there. What has it been like for you building your own brand, and how have you amassed such a massive following?
It started out in such a weird way that I wasn't even really intending to fully start a business. I was just making jewelry and necklaces for fun. And so when I started the Instagram, I just thought that once people didn't want stuff anymore, I'd delete the Instagram. And I was having so much fun with it. I just kept going and going and going. And social media is just such a big role today with marketing that I was having fun posting and sharing things with people, and I wanted other people wearing my jewelry once more people started buying it. So I introduced an ambassador program on Instagram that I had hundreds of girls all over the US sharing on their stories, gained a ton of followers from that. And then I started posting on TikTok and had a few videos go super viral, and it just showed I was like in my basement, in the unfinished basement, making rings on TikTok. And I was sure people thought I had been kidnapped because it was just unfinished basement. It's like cold and dark, and it was just terrible for the brand. But I think people just saw that I really loved so much what I was doing and put my heart into it, and it just never stopped growing.
Wow, that's super cool. So obviously there's a massive amount of passion here. You loved what you were doing. You started when you were super young selling, I think you were telling me, like little bracelets that you made like out of rubber bands or something like that.
Yeah.
And just this dealer in elementary middle school for jewelry in a sense. And now you've built it into an awesome company and brand. And so, tell me a little bit more about where you came up with the idea for your ambassador program and how you started to initially market your Instagram to kind of get the flow of sales going.
Yeah, so I know everybody loves free stuff. There's nobody who doesn't love free stuff. And that's how my business kind of started. I was giving away these necklaces for free to all of my friends. And so I figured, I've seen a few other people post ambassador searches on Instagram, and they get all these people sharing it to their stories saying, oh, I want to be selected to win free jewelry for a year, and in exchange, I'll post and get content. And so I launched this ambassador search, and within 3 days, I'd gained over 3,000 followers on Instagram, just more and more people. And then all these girls who I only selected like 4 or 5. So then I had 3,000 new followers who were all interested in my jewelry, which led them to start purchasing too. And then by selecting more girls to give my jewelry for free, a necklace wasn't costing very much to make, so I wasn't in the hole too much by giving away free jewelry, especially when I had other orders coming in. And so then these girls that I gave free jewelry to would post about it, and then they'd bring in new followers, and then I'd host a new ambassador search every year, and that would just bring more and more people each time. So yeah.
So an ambassador search, because I'm new to this. I'm a novice in the TikTok and social media world. I try my best, but I'm not great. This is where you say, hey, wear my jewelry, post about it, and I'll benefit you somehow, or how does it work?
Yeah, I'll give you free jewelry. So basically you'll get a package with a bunch of free necklaces, whatever jewelry you want. You get like $100 credit basically to pick anything you want. And in exchange, you post about it. You represent my brand. You post about it on your stories or do unboxings, things like that. And at the time, I don't do these anymore. I've transitioned to more organic growth on TikTok and other social media platforms. But I was only on Instagram at the time. And so I was trying to just get a lot of followers on my Instagram page. And so by saying, I'll give you free jewelry, people would, and to like enter, it's almost like a giveaway in the sense that you have to share my post to your story and say, I want to be an ambassador. And then if you get selected, then you get the free jewelry. So it's like a giveaway, but there's also strings attached where you're expected to post and share my brand.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's genius. That's super cool. And I love that.
Fun.
So talking to those that are trying to build a store, build a brand, build a business, what resources or kind of like foundation would you recommend to people? Where do people even start trying to do something like this?
It's so hard to say where to start because the fact of the matter is you just have to start. I had no idea what I was doing when I started. I still look back and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea how I got here. I sit in hour-long lectures at school and I'm like, you don't know how this works because you've never done it. You've never been in like the seat of actually running a business. And so I feel like so much of it is you're not going to know. You just have to start and kind of figure it out as you go. I had no idea how to run a social media and do marketing and advertisement and things like that on there. And as I learned and things, I had many failures. Things didn't work out. And as you keep going, you just learn from it. Every once in a while, I'd YouTube videos and see what other people were up to. And that's how I learned a lot about packaging and supplies and other little aspects of the business that I needed. It's just a matter of starting because if you never start, it's never going to go anywhere.
I love that. I love that advice. And so for your business, there's lots of things I'm sure you had to learn. You had to learn the marketing aspect of with social media and a website. You had to learn packaging, shipping, I'm sure returns, all of that type of stuff. Was YouTube your main source, or how did you figure it out? I'm sure failure was a part of that, but that's great. How did you do it?
Yeah, a lot of it, I have to give my parents a lot of props for being so supportive and helping me a lot because there were so many things that truly I was just so clueless. When I started the Instagram and started allowing people to like request shipping, I got my first order and she ordered this ring and I was like, okay, I get my first order to ship. I'm super excited to package it up. And I just took a paper envelope, just a letter envelope, and I put the ring inside. And I wrote a little letter, and I took it down, and I was like, Dad, look, somebody ordered something. And he was like, you are not shipping it in that. Like, there is no way that's not happening. That's horrible. Go, like, take it out, and we'll figure out something else. And so we just found some, like, little boxes on Amazon, and I started with that. And then I would watch packaging videos on YouTube to see what kind of supplies other people are using. And then I just did a lot of Googling. A lot of people are always like, oh, where did you learn from? It's like, the internet, just Google. Like, you're never going to find what you need the first time, but after you search and search, and I've been through so many different supplies and things and finally have what I want. Now I have my own packaging manufactured, branded and stuff. So it used to be stickers on a box and handwriting every single address on a bubble mailer, but...
That is so cool. See, the awesome part about all of this is for your brand and the people that buy your jewelry, they will never see this aspect of the business until now, I guess, if they do see this episode. But like all of those people just see the really cool, beautiful jewelry as well as your obviously permanent jewelry that you now do with your other brand. But the work that you've put in to get to this point is insane. And it's super cool for people to now look inward on that and see you and be like, this is the owner of the ring I wear. And it's so cool to see that she was growing up an entrepreneur and then hit her stride as what, you started at 19, right?
I started at I'm 19 now. I started at 15.
19 now. You started.
Yeah.
So you started Ochre and Elm at 15?
Yep, in high school. Yep, my sophomore year of high
That is
school.
insane. That's so crazy. So tell the people that are buying your brand, people listening to this, what drives you to continue forward, continue to grow your business, continue to chase your passion? What's kind of your why?
I've always just loved creating. Like you said earlier, from the youngest age, I was always making and selling stuff. In elementary school, I was crocheting bracelets and stuffed animals out of rubber bands and selling them. And I'd come home from school with $60, and my mom's like, "Where did you get that?" I'm like, "Oh, took some stuff to school and sold it, obviously." She probably thought I was up to no good in elementary school. But I've just always loved to create and be able to share that with others. And now sometimes I just think about it in awe because I've shipped to every single state, and I've shipped to over 10 countries, and just to think that my jewelry is all over the world and that people wear it and love it. And I've been able to truly connect. I think that's one of the ways I've been able to bring in so many new customers and build a brand is just by personal connections with people. Especially starting permanent jewelry, I've had multiple people come in to get permanent jewelry who have supported Ochre and Elm since I started it. And one girl, I actually have the letter right here, she wrote me a little letter about how much she loves her jewelry and how meaningful her jewelry and the memories she's connected to it are. And so it's just things like that that I have just always loved creating. I love to make money. It's fun to sell and to like have that sense of accomplishment of making something and having other people enjoy it and receive it.
Yeah.
And it's just so fun. And I love being my own boss, getting to make my own schedule. It's such hard work. And a lot of people, like you said, you don't see all of the hard work that goes in behind the scenes. A lot of people think, oh, it just happened. Like all of a sudden you just ran a business and it just worked out this way. And it's blood, sweat, and tears and sleepless nights and hours and hours and hours of work. But it's so fun. Like I just truly love it so much.
Good for you. That's so exciting. And so give us a little peek inside your life right now. What is running the day-to-day business of these two operations like? What are you doing? What are your plans for the future? Kind of give us a little peek inside.
Yeah, it's hard because first and foremost, school is like my top priority right now.
Yeah.
When you're paying for something, you have to succeed and get through it. So school comes first, and then it's hard because trying to find a balance because I'd much rather be working on my business and spending all of my time doing that, but there has to be a balance. So right now, permanent jewelry has been one of my huge focuses lately. I was doing so much with Ochre and Elm online that it got to a point where I was just always by myself. I was in my studio day and night working until 4 a.m, and I was starting to get a little bit of burnout where it was just like, this isn't as exciting as it used to be for me. And I wanted to start meeting people and have people coming to my studio, so I introduced permanent jewelry. So right now it's a good mix of trying to market that and having people schedule appointments or book parties to do permanent jewelry here in Utah. And then on top of that, it is figuring out social media with Ochre and Elm, trying to balance multiple. It's so hard because making content takes a lot of time. So to constantly be trying to make videos for TikTok, getting good quality photos for Instagram to post, and then also responding to people, getting back to emails, customer service, but also getting all orders out in a timely manner can be super tough. So it's been a nice, relaxing start of the new year. After the holiday season rush, it gets super crazy and I feel like I finally just pushed past the rest of the customer service and all of that stuff. But and then moving forward, it's just constantly working to build social media. And social media is really hard because I've kind of gotten this past year TikTok plateaued for me, and it was really hard to work past that because I was making the exact same videos that I was making before that were blowing up, and I was trying new things and nothing was growing my social media anymore. And it's hard because that's all that my business runs off of. If I don't have social media doing well, I don't have orders and I don't have business. And so I'm still in that kind of rut of trying to figure out how to keep that afloat and balance it all while also making sure my jewelry is the highest quality and enjoying what I'm making. So
you have a lot to juggle right now. That's crazy with school and figuring out all those things with the business side of operations. I mean, that's what I think people just don't see is there is so much that goes into running a business successfully. It's mind-blowing to just try to keep it afloat. And so going back to kind of what you were saying, are you a one-woman shop? Do you have any employees? Do you have any help? Or is it just you?
I'm a one-woman shop. Occasionally, I do it all by myself. The few times that I've had videos on TikTok blow up. The first one, I made a video of me making a ring for Shawn Mendes. I saw this guitar ring and I was like, this is gonna be so cool. I want to make him this ring, like hypothetically, and post it on social media. My mom's like, okay. So I got my mom's help. I made her film me in the garage making this ring, and I posted it. And it got a couple million views, and Shawn Mendes saw it and commented on it. And all of a sudden, over 4,000 people wanted this ring. And so here I am. I was still all on Instagram at this point. So I took a couple hundred orders all through Instagram direct message for this ring. And it was over the new year, so there were a few nights that it was 3, 4 in the morning, waking up at 6 in the morning, 2 hours of sleep to get all of these rings out. And so in moments like that, I enlisted the help of my sister and my parents to package and go to the post office and do all that stuff. But besides that, I'm a one-woman show.
But that's actually insane. I didn't know that. That is super cool.
Yeah, that was my first viral TikTok, and that's kind of what made me transition between working in the unfinished basement, all on Instagram. I was just at a breaking point. I told my parents, I was like, this isn't sustainable. I can't be handwriting every single address on 300 bubble mailers, trying to find their message on Instagram and collecting payments. It was just, and I was losing so many customers too, people who wanted to buy, but I couldn't get through 1,000 messages in a day. Totally. And so it was finally that point where my parents, I think, realized too, okay, this could be a website, this could be bigger and keep growing. And that's when I started my website development, and we finished my studio and did everything else.
That's so cool. So let me ask you this, with obviously expansion and growth, have you thought about bringing on team members to help do the jewelry or market or social media, or kind of are you holding off on that for now?
I'm holding off on it for now, more so just because it's such a juggle between, I wouldn't be able to give somebody a full-time job because I'm juggling it right now between school and work and everything else. And then I have a huge travel bug. I love to travel. And so when I can, I'm off and or on a plane and wherever else in the world I can be. But the other thing I always tell people, everybody's like, my friends offer to help when I get a lot of orders in and stuff. And it's so hard because I've been doing it all by myself for so long. The thought of trying to teach somebody else my exact ways, just kind of that control aspect is so hard to wrap my head around, because I figured out how to do it the most efficient, quickest, best way possible on my own. So right now, no, but in the future, I definitely want to expand beyond jewelry and go into clothing, other accessories, whatever else. I definitely want to expand in another direction as well. So I hope there comes a time when that is needed, obviously.
Oh, it will, 100%. I am confident in that. What this is going back to even something previously. You're in school right now, and obviously this is your business. It's keeping you busy. You're having tons of success with it. Why stay in school? Other than obviously you're paying for it and stuff like that, but I'm curious to know.
Yeah, well, one, I always think that knowledge, like, there's no limit to it, so for sure. Increasing knowledge is always super important. It's, like, never bad to continue learning, and I think it's bad to stop trying to learn. It is definitely an expectation by my parents that I go to school and get a degree, which I'm appreciative of their pushing and support for that, because I need a backup plan. Nothing lasts forever, and so depending on if I want to go in a different direction and stop this for a while, I never see that happening, but life throws unexpected things at you, so if it were to ever not work out, I do want a backup plan, and then that also just increases my knowledge of what I'm doing. More on the logistics side of things, less on the experience side of things.
Yeah, totally. The reason I asked is because I was in a similar situation. I was growing my business with real estate and other things I was doing, and I was in school as well. And it was extremely challenging because on one hand, you're like, I'm seeing success here, and this is enjoyable. I love what I'm doing. It's super fun. I want to grow this. But on the other hand, you're like, the part of you is, one, I got to stick it through. Two, I owe it to my parents because they have blessed me up until this point to raise me and get to me this point, and I owe it to them at least to show that I can stick it through this. But then three, you're learning, which is great. And I mean, this is a whole different topic, but that we could talk about forever, about what you're learning in school, because sometimes it's not. Anyways, I'm just gonna leave that there. But you get what I mean. It's impressive, and it's hard to do both at the same time. And so kind of transitioning into a totally different side of the business, what has been your inspiration behind the designs of your jewelry, and how have you found the designs and put things together and kind of built your kind of brand of design?
Yeah. As like my creativity has progressed throughout my life, it's so hard to explain because it's always just something in my mind. Like you can see exactly what you want to make and I make it. So it's kind of hard to
Totally.
say that like the inspiration came from a certain spot other than like my brain just came up with it and I just wanted to
Hey,
make something
that's
look
a
the
great
way it
answer.
does. But yeah, I started with the beaded necklaces because it was a trend at the time. Visco girls was a huge popular thing amongst
Yeah.
high schoolers and teenage girls, and so that's when I started with the beaded chokers. And I had the beads and the knowledge to make the necklaces, and that's something my mom always made for my sister and I growing up was beaded jewelry. And so it was just fun. It was kind of nostalgic. It felt like making friendship bracelets again.
Yeah.
And then I started collecting rings everywhere that I was traveling. I loved picking up a piece of jewelry because jewelry really is a
Cool.
sentimental thing that people connect and attach a lot of memories to. It can
Yeah.
be super special to people. And so I started collecting rings, and we were in the middle of Iowa on a cross country road trip to Ohio, and we went to an antique store and they had spoon rings, which now have gone super popular in Utah and surrounding states. But I love the idea that you take something old and turn it into something brand new. So I started collecting spoons from wherever I could find them and bending them into rings. So I love that just because people connect. I have people send in silverware all the time from grandparents, from their wedding, things like that to have me make into rings and new jewelry. And so it just brings new life to something old.
That's super cool. So, from my
That's really fun.
outside understanding of your business, and hopefully this will help people understand what you do as well, there's multiple things you can do. I just learned
Yeah.
that people can send things into you, and you'll
Yeah.
turn it into a ring, which is amazing, instead of them just finding a product you offer. So, you obviously have the option to buy something of yours that you have in stock or whatever. Somebody can send something into you that you can make. And is it mainly just rings, or do you make necklaces as well? How do you?
Yeah, with the silverware, I do like accept custom orders from time to time. I've done custom orders for high school sports teams. I recently just got done making some sterling silver stone rings out of elk tooth ivory. It was like super random, but I do like silversmithing and stone rings and stuff, and so that's a huge market, I guess, amongst hunters and stuff, which is super interesting.
That's
But
cool.
it was a cool new experience to make something. And then when it comes to like the spoon rings, yeah, I accept silverware from people to turn into rings. And a lot of where I've drawn a lot of customers from is all my spoon rings. I hand make them custom to size, and ring sizes are one of the most random things ever. Everybody's different. They go from like a 3 all the way up to a 16. I've made size 16s before. I've made size 3.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and so I've always offered size inclusivity because nothing's worse than not being able to find something that you like, finding something you love and it not fitting or not working for you. And so that's something I've always marketed is that all my rings are size inclusive, so you pick whatever design you want and I'll make sure it can fit you.
That's super awesome. And
Yeah.
so a lot of people, when they hear jewelry, and this goes for both of your businesses, Ochre and Elm, as well as your permanent jewelry business, this is not just a female dominated space. I mean, it's more probably predominantly female, but males
Yeah.
also are wearing this jewelry, also getting permanent jewelry, right? If I
Yeah.
understand correctly.
Yeah, spoon rings, especially a lot of guys love to wear spoon rings. They look great on guys. I had a project about a year or so ago. My family's been huge into dirt biking our whole lives, motorsports and things like that. And so there's a few racers that I love, and they've just got this super cool, they're building a cool brand in motorsports and making it young and trendy and fun. And I was like, you would look great in one of my rings. I take Rolex spoons. So Rolex, the watch company, made these little
Yeah.
spoons, left them in Switzerland at hotels ages ago. And so I started making rings out of the Rolex ones, kind of like a luxurious type of spoon ring. And so I made them for them, did custom boxes, delivered them at a race in California, and they wear them all the time. So they have a couple 100,000 followers on Instagram each, and they've always got their Rolex rings on. And so guys
No
look great in
way.
rings. Yeah, it's super fun to see. It's just cool to like just know that I made it and that somebody else
Yeah.
truly enjoys it and wears it. And then permanent jewelry, people come in all the time with girlfriends and boyfriends, husband and wife. I had a group of guys, they came in and got matching bro bracelets, they called them. And so yeah,
Sweet.
it's predominantly female but not excluded to whatsoever. I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
when guys
totally.
wear.
See, that's super cool. I love that you have something for both. And I think that's something that a lot of people want to try, because like for me as a guy, I struggle with wearing my wedding ring for whatever
Yeah.
reason. But at the same time, it would be super cool to have a Rolex ring. I mean, that sounds awesome. I mean, I like watches. Why would I not want a Rolex ring, you know? And
Yeah.
so, um, I love that you can offer something for both genders, and obviously totally like the wide range of design that you offer is so cool. And so I want to understand the process a little bit behind your craftsmanship. I have no idea how bending a spoon into a ring works. How do you do it?
When I started, had no idea how I was going to do it either. In fact, I went to the DI and found a ski pole, and something in my brain told me that I was just going to be able to wrap this spoon around a ski pole and make a ring. My dad came out, got a good laugh, like, just flamed me for it for a good while and made fun of me for so long. He brought out a torch and was like melting the spoon to bend into a ring, and I was like, this looks horrible. This is not gonna work. And so I found a company that makes a like pressing machine. So it's just like a little bender. You put dies in it to make them different sizes, and you pull on it. My dad welded on an extra long handle because the handle used to be so small, my hand would be bruised. Like the palm of my hand was always black and blue from making hundreds of rings on this tiny little thing that had no leverage. So my dad changed it for me. Yeah, so I find spoons. I collect them from wherever and wherever I can find them. Lately, this past year, when I've been traveling out of the country, I love to go find little collector spoons and different things. Everything just tells a different story. So I find spoons wherever I can, or people send them in. And then, since they're all made custom to size, the customer gives me whatever size they're wanting to order, and I do half sizes as well to just keep the customization fully open. I mark the size, I cut it, sand and polish it so that it's smooth, it won't like scratch where it's been cut, and then polish it, get off any old grimes, because some of the old spoons are disgusting, and then
Totally.
just bend it into a ring, and then the ends meet up, and it's just a perfect little ring.
What the? So you don't have to like heat it up or anything. This machine
Mm-mm.
just bends it for you
Nope.
into the ring
Yep.
shape, or because
It's
you measure it to make sure you know like it'll fit that ring size, and
yeah.
then you
Yep.
bend it and poof, there you go.
Yep. I think one of my biceps is a little bit bigger from constantly pulling on the thing to bend rings. But
Yeah,
it's a
totally.
good little workout, and yeah, it's been fun. A lot of people love to watch the process of me making them, so when I have bulks of orders going out at a time, I hop on TikTok live and I make them, and people watch and ask questions and place orders on the live, and they like getting to watch the process of their ring being made, so it's fun.
Cool. So now that we're on that subject, where do people find you? What's your social media handles? Where can people order? Where do we go?
Yeah, my website to order is ochreandelm.com. My username for Instagram and TikTok are both the same. It's just Ochre and Elm for my jewelry that you can shop anywhere in the world online there. If you're wanting to get permanent jewelry in Utah, my Instagram for that is evermore.elm, and I have a link to book for permanent jewelry appointments there.
Okay, cool. So permanent jewelry is obviously just now in Utah because you have to be in person to do that.
Yes.
And to
Yep.
do so, you have like a little welder machine that you,
Yeah.
I don't know, explain that. How does
Yeah.
permanent jewelry work?
Yeah, permanent jewelry is just the process of micro welding a chain on as a bracelet, anklet, or necklace. It's safe, completely harmless, pain-free, and then it allows you the option to get like the necklace, whatever length you want, the bracelet to fit perfectly. I have really tiny wrists, and I hated it growing up because every time I found a bracelet, it had like a big dangly clasp, and it just annoyed me. And so they're seamless all the way around. You never take them off. They stay on 24/7, and then they're all like fine metals, so precious metals, so they don't tarnish, leave your skin green.
That's amazing. So
Yeah, it's fun.
from what I understand, what you offer is I mean, you can go to people to have like a little girls' night get together where you can show up, do a little pop up shop, and do permanent jewelry for people. They can come to you. You've even been hosted by Albion, right? For something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, Albion Fit asked me to go to their store downtown at City Creek and host a pop-up for the day, so anybody who wanted to shop and come also get permanent jewelry hopped by. Super fun, super unique activity. But yeah, so I do just at home appointments where people can come to my studio. If you have groups or 7 or more, I do parties, so I will travel wherever to go do them, and then everybody gets a little discount and the host gets a free piece of jewelry for hosting a party as long as they have 7 or more people. And then from time to time, people request that I go do pop-ups at companies like Albion. So
Yeah.
there's many
Amazing.
options there. And yeah,
That's so cool. So you obviously are growing your personal connection with people as well, seeing them in person. And so with your kind of school of hard knocks in the business world, what is your other than what you were saying, just start. What is your best advice for an entrepreneur wanting to start a business? Not necessarily something like yours, any type of business. What would your advice be to them?
Yeah, just find something that you're passionate about. And if you're truly passionate about it, you're going to love it. Like, I've had so many really, really hard, really, really low moments running a business. But even looking back, I'm like, it wasn't that bad because I just love it so much. So if you find something you're truly passionate about, stick to it. I always tell people, I never meant to start a business. I really didn't. It just kind of happened. But from the youngest age, I was always selling stuff. I was always wanting to make money and create something for myself. I just love this idea of, in 4th grade when they told us about entrepreneurship, I love this idea of being able to work for myself and just create the life that I wanted. And I'm a firm believer that, like, what you think about and what you manifest most in life is going to come back to you. And so it doesn't matter where you start. If you know that you're going to do it, just think about it and, like, remember that end goal in mind and keep working towards it, and you'll get there.
That's amazing. Super cool advice. So you obviously have worked super hard to get to where you are now. You're super passionate about your business, but you've also had challenges. I want to talk about that a little bit. What has been your main challenges? What has been hard building your business?
There's a lot of, sometimes I think that the hard outweighs the easy just because there's so much to it,
sure.
But yeah. There's a lot of sacrifice that comes with it. When I was in high school, I felt like I was constantly deciding between going to school or staying home and making orders and growing my business, which was making me money and I felt like was providing my future. And then through that, I lost so many relationships. A lot of people, when you start doing something awesome for yourself and start making something happen, a lot of people get jealous, and that's just part of it. And you just have to push that aside and keep doing what you want to do because you know it's best for you. So that was hard to deal with. I lost a lot of friendships, people who thought that I was way more invested in my business than I was in them. And truthfully, I was. I was invested in building this life for myself that I saw and wanted to grow, and they weren't supportive in that way. So things like that fell off. So I feel like jealousy is a lot of it. A lot of people will push you away and things like that will happen, and you have to sacrifice relationships. I had to dedicate so much time. I gave up which I don't call it giving up anymore because I was so happy to graduate high school early, but to some people that seems like a bit of a sacrifice to give up the rest of my senior year to work on my business. But yeah, there's a lot of sacrifice. It's not easy. It's blood, sweat, and tears, hours and hours on end, trying to figure out the logistics, but
totally.
All in the end is worth it.
That's awesome. I want to touch on that for a second because I've experienced that as well in my business. Is you truly find out who cares about you and who wants to support you when you start your own business, because it may not necessarily be somebody buying your product or something like that. Like for you, I'm sure you've had loads of people that purchase your jewelry, but there's so many other ways to support a business owner than buying something from them. There's promoting them just because you love what they're doing, or promoting them just because they're your friend and you care about their success. And I think that's something I would like to change in our day and age right now in the world is, why are we not trying to help each other succeed? And that's one of the biggest reasons why I started this podcast, is one, to talk about entrepreneurship, but two, to show off the incredible people that are in the world doing awesome stuff and growing businesses from their back pocket. And I think if all of us were just to look around us and see our friends trying to succeed at life and truly just promoted them in a way that was organic and genuine, we all would rise together, because when you're trying to help somebody else, you grow as well. And I think you as a business owner, it's so admirable that you learned early on that sometimes you do have to sacrifice those relationships to succeed, because most people aren't going to understand it. If they're not on the same level as you or not headed the same place as you, they're not going to understand what you're doing or why you're doing it. And so the fact that you're grinding and willing to make those sacrifices and do what you're doing is super, super admirable. And so to finish up this episode, I want to ask you one last question, and we touched on it a little bit earlier with your advice to a business owner and what your biggest tip would be. But if you had to start all over, if ground one or ground zero, no followers, no nothing, what would you do? Where would you start?
Yeah, I wouldn't, like, I would do everything the exact same just because I've learned so much from it. Like, there's not one thing I would
Yeah.
change about it because everything I learned was from the experience of going through the process. The only thing that I would maybe skip is handwriting the hundreds and hundreds of addresses on bubble mailers and sitting at the
Yeah.
post office. That's something I never said. Because I was handwriting all of these addresses, I'd go to the post office, wait in line for 30 minutes, and then I'd get up to the counter and they'd have to type in every address and print out a label. So there was a guy at the post office named Ty, and he'd always give me a stool, and I'd be sitting there for over 3 hours, and just this line of people behind me, and I just thought it was the most embarrassing thing sometimes because the line, like, Christmas season would be out the door, and I'm just sitting on a stool just waiting for him to type in all my packages. So a big time
Wow.
consumer too. But yeah, it was good for the character building and the development of the brand. But I'd maybe skip that. But everything else, if you're truly passionate about something and you just keep applying yourself to what you're trying to do, and if you're passionate about it, doing the research and learning and taking all those steps to grow something, it's not going to feel like work. It's not going to feel like school when you're trying to study for a test. It doesn't feel like, oh, I could be doing anything else right now. It's like I would get these ideas at night in bed and I would want to hop out of bed at 2 a.m. because my brain was like, oh my gosh, I got to do all these things right now. You just love it so much that you want
Yeah.
to do it. So if you can find something you're truly passionate about and just apply yourself to it, it might start off slow, it might start off really fast like mine did, but no matter what, it'll all like even out at the end and you'll get there.
That's super cool. I'll finish the episode with this. I love what you just said. If there's something that keeps you up at night that you're thinking about constantly, that you love, that you're passionate about, that is the number one key of where to focus to start your own business, because there's a way to turn whatever is keeping you up at night that you're interested in into a profitable business. And it just takes innovation and grit and determination and hard work. And so thank you so much for coming on the episode today. You are incredible, insightful, and I'm so excited to see you continue to grow. And we'll finish up that episode of The Everyday Entrepreneur. Thanks for coming.